Hello and welcome to the second segment of the Daisy Petal Perfusion Bioreactor System Introductory Video Series. I'm Martin, a research associate at Sunflower Therapeutics. In the last video, you were introduced to the complete Daisy Petal system and got an overview on how the Daisy Petal, the single-use assembly, and Sunflower software suite work together to simplify fermentation process operations. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install a single-use assembly, or SUA, on the Daisy Petal Perfusion Bioreactor System. The SUA is designed to fit intuitively onto the Daisy Petal system hardware to make it quick and easy to start a fermentation campaign. It includes a fully assembled bioreactor containing Sunflower's proprietary cell retention devices for in-vessel perfusion, as well as all of the tubing and connectors to attach your fluid supplies and collection and waste vessels. All the tubing is mounted on a rigid backing called a loop to clearly show the correct placement of the assembly. Sensors are built into the bioreactor so that the Daisy Petal system can monitor your fermentation process and automate process controls during the campaign.
Before installing the SUA, we need to get a process started. We will click the green play button in Helianthus, Sunflower's fermentation automation software, and select a recipe from the drop-down menu. In a future video, you'll learn how to make recipes yourself. After the recipe is selected, Helianthus will prompt us to install a single-use assembly. To begin the SUA installation process, we need to prepare the Daisy Petal hardware. First, we'll open all the valve gates by loosening the thumb screw and pressing down on the lever. Then, we'll remove the magnetic condenser cover and make sure that the DO and PH cable connectors are tucked away into the respective holders. I've already removed the single-use assembly from its packaging, so we can simply pick it up, supporting the bioreactor from the bottom, and place it onto the Daisy Petal system. Fit the open doors of the valve gates through the corresponding cutouts in the loom to fully unfold the SUA. Now we will hang the surge bag from the clip at the top of the right panel. Avoid pulling on the surge bag when installing it because this can damage the load cell that monitors the bag's weight during use. Next, we'll install the tubing into all of the valves. Hold the loom so that the tubing is seated in each channel. Close the door and press the valve gate latch forward and down to secure it. You will hear and feel a firm click when the latch has caught. Then, tighten the thumb screw until it is finger tight. We'll repeat the same process for each of the valve gates. Each valve within the valve gate controls one fluid flow path. The opening and closing is automated to create the flow path defined by the recipe. The air and oxygen that the bioreactor requires during operation are supplied through the air-in line, which we will connect to the system at the top of the left panel. The gas pressure sensor plugs into the center panel here. Gases vent through the air outline, which threads through the filter heater. We'll tighten the filter heater around the filter, then plug in the quick disconnect. After we seat the tubing below the filter in the condenser channel, we can place the magnetic condenser cover back over the condenser. Now, we will open all 8 pumps on the system so we can install the pump tubing. These pumps are responsible for delivering bioprocess fluids, like cultivation media or pH control fluids, into the bioreactor, and also for withdrawing spent cell culture fluids, or biomass, from the reactor to the collection vessel or waste container. The tubing is attached to the loom so that it is obvious which pump it should be installed in. Thread the tubing through the channel of the pump so that the tubing sits on top of the rollers and between the channel clips on either side. Ensure that the tubing is free-floating on the rollers and won't be pinched or kinked when the pump is closed. Then, close the pump by pressing the lever down. Once the pump is closed, double-check that the tubing isn't pinched in the channel clips or kinked on either side. Again, we'll repeat these steps for all 8 pumps. After the tubing is properly installed in each pump, we'll clip the sample port onto the mount at the front right corner of the Daisy Petal catch basin by simply pressing the tubing into the clasp at the top of the mount. Push the sample port back so that it sits on top of the concave portion of the mount. The last things we need to connect from the SUA to the right side system panel are the 2 pressure sensors. Plug in the sensor labeled collection pressure into the corresponding port, and similarly, plug in the sensor labeled CRD pressure into the CRD pressure port. Now, we will install the chiller connections on the center panel of the Daisy Petal to enable temperature control inside the bioreactor vessel. The chiller connections are at the back of the bioreactor headplate. These quick disconnects simply click into the chiller in and chiller out ports as they're labeled. Lastly, we need to install a dissolved oxygen probe and connect the DO and pH cable connectors to the bioreactor. The reusable DO probe is delivered with a Daisy Petal system and should always be stored in its box when not in use. When the clear cap is removed and set aside, we can insert the DO probe carefully into the sleeve on the left side of the bioreactor headplate until it reaches the bottom. Turn the probe clockwise to screw it into the threads at the bottom of the sleeve until it is finger tight. Remove the yellow cap from the top of the DO probe and put it back in the box. Now we can take the DO cable connector and place it onto the DO probe, turning it until the keyed connection catches onto the connector on the probe. Tighten the threaded collar of the cable onto the probe's threaded connector until it's finger tight. A flashing blue light at the end of the probe will indicate that the cable is properly connected. To connect the pH cable to the system, we'll remove the yellow cap from the top of the pH probe on the bioreactor headplate and discard it. Place the pH cable connector onto the connector of the probe, turning slightly until the keyed connection catches. Then, finish screwing the threaded collar onto the probe until it is finger tight.
That's it. Now our single-use assembly is fully installed, and we can move forward in the fermentation setup by selecting OK and Helianthus. When prompted, we'll double-check that all the connections are made correctly, all the pumps and valves are shut, and no tubing is kinked or pinched. Then we can proceed with campaign initialization. Setting up the single-use assembly is the most hands-on step in the entire fermentation process when using the Daisy Petal system. We will look at the rest of the process in more depth in a future video. From this point, we'll simply verify calibration and recipe data, ensure all of the ancillary equipment is powered on and ready to go, and pipe the fluids and collection vessels. After that, Helianthus automates the fluid priming process and notifies the user when it is ready for inoculation. Once the bioreactor is inoculated, Helianthus controls the campaign according to the recipe. This powerful automation makes it possible for us to continuously produce large volumes of our product with minimal work throughout the campaign. In the next video, we'll provide an overview of how Sunflower's GMP-compliant software suite delivers a simple and state-of-the-art user experience.